addiction and recovery and telling my story. So naturally, how I start off, hi, my name's Noelle, I'm an addict alcoholic. Hi, Noelle. Hey. Okay, so, I usually just start from the beginning. So I've been in recovery, tomorrow will be a couple years, my anniversary. Yeah. Weeks I've been doing a lot of self-reflection on where I was within the last couple years. But honestly though, growing up, when I was a child, I never thought that I would end up where I am now and go through, the struggles of addiction. But yeah, this is me as a child. Started out in Catholic school and did all-star cheerleading, and that was something I did for a really long time, won 4 national titles. But going into high school, because I spent 9 years in Catholic school and I went to Ketchum, so for me that was really hard because it was a really big transition going from a class of 18 to a class of over 500. But eventually I got really into music. So I went to a lot of shows in high school, and by the time I hit 16 is when I was introduced to alcohol, marijuana. And I, for myself, it helped get me out of myself, made me less nervous. And then eventually, I got bored with it. I needed to do more. So my senior year, senior year of high school, I got introduced to cocaine and ecstasy. And at the time, I didn't really think that I had a problem with it, but looking back at it now, I can see kind of where different patterns of addiction occurred. But I eventually graduated from high school and came here in the fall of 2009 for college. And my second semester here is when I got introduced to OxyContin. And at the time, I didn't know how addictive it was. I was using it recreationally to get rid of back pain, not knowing how addictive it is. So these are pictures during my active use. My addiction basically ran the span of 5 or 6 years. I started out with pills and then eventually moved on to heroin. And getting introduced to heroin, it wasn't a matter of me really wanting to do it. There was a day that came where me and the person that I was dating couldn't find pills, and he's like, well, I can't get pills, but I can get heroin. And I just remember thinking in my head, oh my God, do I really want to cross that line right now? And I just remember him saying to me, well, would you rather be sick? And at the time, I really didn't. I figured it's going to be a one-time thing, and that, wasn't the case at all. So eventually, I switched primarily over to heroin, became an intravenous user, and as that went on, I stopped going to school. Initially, I thought, when I was in my active addiction, I always thought I maintained good grades the entire time, and then a couple years ago, I had to get my transcript from school, and you can see as the years went on, my grades kind of slowly declined. I was taking less classes, but these are other pictures. But basically, let me go back actually. I got to the point in my addiction where I didn't really care. The first, the 3 pictures of me when I was little, the one in the middle, my cousin, she emailed me a couple weeks ago, and she works up at a high school where she lives, and she works with a health class in a high school, and she said to me, would you mind telling your story? So I was like, yeah, okay. And she sent me an email with 4 different questions, and a couple of them were how did your addiction affect you achieving your goals? Another one was how did it affect your relationships with family and friends, and what it felt like to be dependent on a drug. To be dependent on a drug, for me, it ran my life. I got to the point where I didn't care about anyone or anything. I didn't care about my family. I didn't care really about my friends. If you were someone that also was in active addiction like me, like that was the only person I hung out with. If you were someone that didn't use drugs, in my opinion, during my active addiction, it was a waste of time because it interfered with me getting high. And as far as like achieving my goals, a lot of the times, like looking back, I rationalized a lot of my addiction. If I wasn't in school, I was working, and in a lot of the jobs that I had, I never got fired from a job. Like I would get raises or I would get promotions, and I rationalized it as well. You know, I'm doing well when I go to work, so you know, I'm allowed to like be doing what I'm doing. And you know, it got to the point where you know, my addiction like basically took over my life. It affected my family like really bad to the point where I really like didn't care. I only cared about getting high, and I would just blow up basically. But it got to the point in 2013, my grandma was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. It was the first picture right there. She got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and that was in like the most, probably like the worst part of my addiction. And I was working on a job, but I just was using even more than I normally did to like numb the fact that my grandma, like I knew she was gonna die. And like the insanity of like the disease of addiction is like, the day that she passed away, like I was in her bathroom getting high and found out she passed away, went into the room where she was, and it wasn't even like 20 minutes, and I was out the door going up to get drugs. And looking back at it now, I feel horrible that like I put my family in that position, but my addiction, like I didn't care. All I cared about was the fact that my grandma just died. I didn't want to be there. I needed to get high to like not even like comprehend that this was happening right now. And then after that, my mom put me in my first treatment center, actually at Arms Acres. So it's really weird because now I've done my internship there last semester, and this semester I'm working there. And as I mentioned like before, like I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but it kind of goes hand in hand. I had when I was at work the other day, I had to do a one-on-one with a girl on detox, and she was in the same room that I was in when I was there for detox. So I felt like that was really interesting. Like, I feel like it's like my higher power showing me like, wow, like look how far you've come in like the last like 3.5 years, you know? Because when I was there for treatment, like I went to appease my mom, really. Like I didn't want sobriety for myself. And a lot of times, like, you have to want it for yourself, or otherwise like you're not gonna stay sober, you know? So the next like year or so, like I would not use for a little while, then kind of use, but then I would rationalize that like I only had a problem with heroin, but I didn't have a problem with cocaine or marijuana or alcohol or pills or just heroin. And then I started dating someone who was also a heroin addict, and we relapsed together. He ended up going away and going to jail because he violated probation. And at that time, I wasn't going to school, I wasn't working. My life revolved around getting high. Like I hated my life. I hated the fact that my life revolved around waking up, getting high, and that was it. And then at the same time, like everyone I went to high school with was graduating from college and getting careers, and I'm sitting there like doing nothing with my life. And I knew that like I had the potential to be doing what they were doing. I just had to stop using. But I didn't really know how, I guess. So I ended up asking my mom to put me in another rehab, and I loved it when I was there. It was great. Like I formed a lot of great relationships with the other people I was in rehab with, and I thought to myself, wow, like if you can make relationships, like friendships with people in rehab, like you can do that outside of rehab. So I finally like decided to give meetings a shot. So I started going to meetings and things were good. Then I had a slip, which wasn't that good. And then got back on track. My boyfriend got out of jail, and 3 days after he got out of jail, he passed away from a drug overdose. Yeah. So that was really hard, because while he was in jail, he talked about like not using. When he gets out, he hopes that I'm going to stop using. And the night before he passed away, him and I went to a meeting together. And the whole time he said he wasn't going to do meetings, so I was like shocked, you know, that he went to a meeting with me. And then when it comes to addiction though, like what people have to understand is like when an addict wants to use, like they're going to find a way, you know, and that's basically like what happened with him. And it was really hard because I was with him when he overdosed, and I was on the Vivitrol shot when this happened, so I was like not even a month clean. So that was really hard, but I managed to stay clean a couple months after. I ended up going back out, which was horrible. And you know, the thing is though, is that the time that I had clean before the last relapse I had a taste of recovery, and I knew that recovery worked. I just had to put the effort in. So the last relapse that I had a couple years ago, you know, it wasn't that fun. I picked up right where I left off using like the same amount basically and a little more. And, you know, my mom, she helped me a lot to get back on track. And one thing that I like appreciate about my mom is that, you know, I hear a lot of stories in the rooms about like parents and them like giving up on their child or like kicking their child out or whatever. My mom, like, as much as I like threatened that I would leave or like tried to, like she like wouldn't let that happen, and she knew that I had the potential to like get my life back on track and to do good, and she constantly pushed me, you know, which was great. So these are like before and after, like during my active use, and then the bottom one and this one here are me in recovery. So you can kind of see like the vast difference, you know. So in sobriety, for me, it's been like really great. I started getting back, like doing things again that, you know, I really enjoy doing. So one of them was going to concerts. That's like one of my favorite things, but music is something that really helped me a lot in sobriety, even like in my use. Like there were times where I'd be in withdrawal, and like the only thing that would keep my mind off of it was to like sing songs to myself. So music like plays such an influential role. What really like makes me happy now is like the job that I do. Like I have to run groups for adolescents, so things that I like to do is I like to do music therapy groups where I'll print out lyrics from songs, and it's music that I like to listen to. And I'll play the song with the lyrics, and then I have them like identify like with their addiction, like with the song lyrics. And it's something that they really enjoy, and I really enjoy doing it, because I always remember like when I was in rehab, like I always wished that they did something like that. Like music was the one thing I missed like every time that I was away, you know, and I feel like it's so powerful, you know. And then another thing is wrestling. I love. And one thing that has really, like I mentioned, like self-reflection earlier, a couple years ago, because like WrestleMania was just this weekend. So a couple years ago during WrestleMania, like was when I had my relapse, and I was so excited, like prior to relapsing, that WrestleMania was coming on. And during my relapse, like I used a ton that day, and I was watching it with my mom, and I just remember like constantly like falling out, and like she got obviously like really mad because she wanted to watch it with me, and I didn't care because I was using, you know. And like thinking about that now, like it makes me like really sad, you know, that like I kind of like ruined that like little moment that her and I were supposed to have together because of my addiction. So like it was on over the weekend, and it was just nice to be able to watch it sober, you know. A picture of my mom, my friends. But one of the main things though when it has come to sobriety, like I started jumping right back in working, which was great because for me it gave me a sense of responsibility and accountability, and that was something I never had during my addiction. Like I wouldn't come in and cover people's shifts, I wouldn't stay late, like because that interfered with me wanting to get high, you know, but the job that I started as soon as I got sober this time around, like, it was great, you know, like, I was covering people's shifts, I was making, like, you know, good money, and it was nice because I was, like, accumulating paychecks as opposed to kind of, like, cashing it and then, like, within a day and a half it's gone because I spent it all on drugs. And so it was nice because that was something that never really happened with me before, and I, you know, jumped back in with meetings and, you know, started making friends this time around because that was one thing that I lacked in the prior, like, bit of recovery that I had, is I didn't have, like, a network of friends, sober friends that I could talk to. And then, these are my friends in recovery, yeah. So, in the last couple years, they started an opiate recovery meeting in Dutchess County, a friend of mine, and that was something that's really helped me a lot. So a lot of young people in like their 20s, all recovering heroin addicts, and it's, you know, really helped me. It's been like, you know, part of me staying sober, but it's just nice because it's like you're able to relate. And then there's other, you know, fellowships that I belong to, but what's nice with the opiate group that I belong to is like we do a lot of stuff like kind of in the community to raise awareness. And for me, like when my boyfriend had passed away, like I said to myself, like, you know, if I can help someone, like, not go what I go, like, if I could help someone to not go through what I did, like that, you know, it would be great. And also, like, I didn't want him to die in vain, you know. And then the picture over here, in September, we did, like, a little forum in Wappingers. But it's just nice, like, for me, the fact that I don't have to wake up sick every day and have to use a drug in order to feel normal, like, that's probably, like, one of the best feelings ever. Because I lived that way for so long, and I always thought, like, there was a period prior to my addiction where I thought, like, this is it, I'm gonna die an active heroin addict, like, you know, I'm never gonna know what it's like to feel normal. Like, I would think about, you know, in the morning when I go up to the city to see the cop, like, I would think, like, you see people, like, driving in their cars in the morning on the way to work, like, really happy and stuff, and I just thought, like, I wish that was me, you know, like, they look so happy and I'm so miserable, like, in my life. But it takes an effort, you know, and sometimes, like, in recovery, like, you don't have good days all the time. Like, sometimes you have crappy days or you have things that trigger you, and as an addict, my natural instinct is like, oh, well, you know, getting high would solve this problem, but then it's like you have to play the tape through and you think to yourself, well, if you go and get high right now, like, at least in my case, like, if I get high right now, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna stop coming to school, I'm gonna stop coming to work, so I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna fail out of school, I'm gonna stop going to meetings and talking to the sober people that I'm friends with, and at this point, those are pretty much the only people that I have as friends, and I'm gonna sit in my room and get high all day and probably die. Honestly, it seems a little extreme, but that is usually what happens, you know. But one session is the last one.
That's it.
I think that's
We're going to have time for questions and answers,
oh,
too.
yeah, question and answers. Yeah, I don't really know what else.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.